Welcome to Thursday, everybody. Jim and Sean here with you, talking soccer this afternoon. Sean, yesterday we found out some interesting things, but how close are we to knowing everything's going to, how each league is going to end? Because there's not that many games left to play.
I would say we're pretty for the Premier League. For the championship, I think you're pretty close. I know those teams getting in. The third, the fifth and sixth. They'll think they have a chance, but I think Middlesbrough for the Premier League. Look at Arsenal's only 1 point behind, but City has a game in hand. And this Manchester City team, I just don't see them losing another game. They don't have the toughest schedule in the world. I think where it gets a little interesting is the European places below that. 3 through 7. Obviously, Brentford is kind of in it. With 50 points from 34 matches. I don't think they're close enough because Brighton is on 52 points, and they have 3 matches in hand on most of these teams. Only 1 on Manchester United, but Liverpool, Tottenham, and Villa. So Brighton can actually pass those teams if they win their matches in hand. People are talking about Liverpool making a late run. We kind of said this is going to happen. Their schedule is very easy. They haven't made it. They haven't made it easy, but they're on 59 points now. They can get to 71. Newcastle's on 65 points with 5 matches to go, so they can get to 80. To get to 71 with a much better goal difference. Newcastle just needs 2 more wins, so they would win the goal difference point right now. And if they only win 2 games, maybe that goal difference will come down. Manchester United needs 3 wins to get to 72 points, which would mean they're clear of Liverpool. So Liverpool's 5 clear of Tottenham and 5 clear of Villa. So City's going to win the title unless something drastic happens.
How about the relegations?
Oh, yeah, I think that's getting. Southampton's going to go down. I mean, they're not at this point now. They're not going to be saved. They've had so many chances, and they haven't been able to capitalize. So they're going to go down. They're definitely going to go down. Now, the interesting thing comes with, the rest of the teams. I still think West Ham at 34 points probably just needs 1 more game. I don't think, 3 of those teams are going to get to 37 points. There's just no way. Leicester and Leeds are on 30, and so is Nottingham Forest. Everton's on 29. Leeds just fired another manager. They're on their 5th manager of the season. Brought Sam Allardyce in. 1 win, 33 points legitimately could save them. So 1 win from 4, 1 point from 4 could be enough at this point because, you got these teams around them. So I think it'll be Southampton, Everton, and Leeds. I think Leicester's just about going to escape. I'm not super confident in that. They got to go to Fulham, to Liverpool, Newcastle, and West Ham. So, there's a legitimate chance they only pick up. If they win Monday, which the match that was moved for the King's coronation, if they win Monday, then, they're probably safe. But if they don't, they're in real trouble. And, they could go down. But it's going to be – I think Forest will find enough points. I just think it's going to be Leeds, Everton, and Southampton. It wouldn't be the worst thing to see Leicester go down, though.
So we actually have a person on Twitter who is a fan of yours. And
oh, yeah?
Yeah, and of Amadeus. And he's a Liverpool guy.
Oh.
And, he said that that might be a problem for you, not for him. Anyway, he wants
everybody from the show to watch. We like all fans to watch.
Everybody. And anyway, he's a big college sports fan, and so he might drop by tomorrow. He has his own Big 12 show.
Who's that?
He has his own Big 12 show.
Oh wow, okay.
It's called the Big 12 Mafia. So
Mafia. All right.
he's a BYU graduate, and just he loves soccer, and he definitely visits our site. If he can't make the live show, he always shows up and watches it later. So we'll ask him. We'll give him an invite tomorrow if he has, if he can make it, because he truly enjoys the work that you and Amadeus do. So that'll be nice. We'll get him in there.
All right.
And I told him, look, every fan's welcome. We don't discriminate here. So
That's right.
So there you go. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So you sorted out the issues with regard to the Premier League. We got France, we got Italy, we got Spain. Any absolutely positive thing there that might not make it?
Let me take a look. Barcelona is going to win that league. Spain, I think that's pretty clear now. Now that Real Madrid is down to third behind Atletico Madrid, if Barcelona can win it, I think if they win the next match, they win the title. And deservingly in that league. The league hasn't been fantastic, to be honest, but Napoli's won the league long since ago. They just need 1 point to go. If they need 1 point in the next match. The Champions League races there is where it's interesting. Lazio, Juventus, Inter, Atalanta, Milan, and Roma. So that could be very interesting. Germany is still up for grabs. No one in the world thinks Bayern Munich is not going to win it. There's only 4 matches to go. Bayern has to play. Who do they play this weekend? Werder Bremen away, Schalke at home, Leipzig away, Cologne. Leipzig at home. Sorry, Cologne away. So it could be some twists and turns, but I think they already blew it. Dortmund, they had the chance to win the title, and now Jude Bellingham is going to be sold. It's basically already done deal. So there's that. PSG's only up by 5 points, and they're in the process of imploding. Messi, Neymar, the fans are rioting in front of their houses. Lens is only 1 point back of Marseille. So, once again, PSG, all they need to do is basically win, a couple games. So, they're not going to bottle it at this point. They got Troy, Ajaccio, Auxerre, Strasbourg, and Clermont Foot. They'll win a couple of those, 3 of those. And they could win all 5, but yeah, they're a mess. That team, I think that project is maybe in the death throes here. Maybe they need to, instead of maybe just build a wall around Paris and keep the Parisian players in, because there was a Parisian 11 that was out there today, and I mean that would fight for any Champions League. I mean they bring the stars and the big names in, and it's not always the way to go.
Sometimes one of the things I've been reading in the French press was that they think that there's not enough French players involved. And I'm thinking, how many more French players could you get involved?
It's interesting. I mean, I think what they're saying is, get rid of Neymar and Messi. But,
Right.
I mean, when you look at now, I mean, Marquinhos Brazilian, Verratti Italian,
Mhm.
Neymar from Brazil, Hakimi from Morocco, Ramos from Spain, Rico, Messi, Danilo Pereira, Nuno Mendes, Vitinha, Renato Sanchez. I mean, you just go up and down the lineup. I mean, really, there's not, Julian Draxler. I think they got away from some of that stuff. They were developing some very good players from there. But yeah, I mean, there's some French players in the squad. Kimpembe and obviously Kylian Mbappe, but he's not going to be there. I mean, he'll leave. But yeah, they kind of got away. They wanted to become a global club, which they have. But um, Bayern has been very successful from bringing the mostly German players in and building around a German core, and obviously Benfica and Porto. They bring players in from other places, but you supplement them. So Manchester United, when they were really good, I mean, really was just the countries of the the British Isles and
Mhm.
obviously Ireland. So, but yeah, I think there's a little bit of thing to that. I think some of that is just hitting out at Messi and Neymar. I mean, Neymar doesn't care. I mean, he's always injured, and you just kind of wasted. You wasted Mbappe's prime a little bit here. I mean, they've won some titles, but they've been to one Champions League final, so it's a little bit of a waste.
So from that standpoint, it's they might just be chirping just to chirp.
A little bit, yeah. But there is some, it's a mess. I mean, PSG's it is a mess. I mean, the fans are not happy, and
Yeah, but
you
I
know,
don't think it's a mess because of the French players they have or don't have.
no, I just, I mean, it's just a strange time now. I mean, nationalism and stuff like this, and all over the place, and just the French, France has been to three of the last five World Cup finals. They've been to the last two. They've won, one, and they've won the Nations League. They're the favorites to win the Euros next summer. And if it was an English team like that, I mean, I think they would and say there was one English team that dominated over everybody else, like PSG does there with all the money. Bayern Munich's a great example. When Bayern Munich was, good, they won the Champions League in 2013, and then they won all these titles. It was the German base, and the German team was good. So I think there's something to it. I think they need to get some more French players, but I just think they don't. They also need to not sign aging. These guys, Verratti's 30, Sergio Ramos 37, Neymar's 31, Messi's 35, Pereira's 31, Letelier's 32. That's, to me, Draxler's going to be 30 in September. That's more of a Marquinhos is going to be 29 in a couple weeks. And that, to me, is more of a problem than some of the other stuff. I mean, they just got old and they're just not talented enough. I mean, you could win the French league, but they didn't even win that last year.
Right.
So, it's just, there's been some problems brewing for a while there.
And so, time marches on. There, you just have to. Sometimes you have to blow it up and start all over again. So,
Yeah, I think sometimes that's the best course of action.
all right, we got that going on. I'm sure you read that the investment group is willing to put $1 billion into renovating Old Trafford and the area around it, if they can get back into the bidding for Man United.
Yeah, I think at this point now it looks like it's I saw a text earlier from somebody. It looks like Qatar is pushing back and maybe taking the lead over the Sir Jim. A lot of that stuff last week was media. You got to read through stuff, but yeah, it needs investment. They need to you hear from Manchester City fans who complain about their the United Stadium and all this stuff. Well, it's be nice if we had our stadium given to us by the council after the Commonwealth Games that were held there, and you got this shiny new stadium that they're building. I mean, they've improved the campus and stuff around it, but look, I mean, it's you got your stadium handed to you, so it does need improvements though. But there's it's up against the Keys, and it's like I mean, there's certain places it can go, but they maybe have to knock some stuff down. But we'll see. I think it'll get done. I mean, whether or not the Bernabeu just redid their stadium instead of building another one, so now it's going to look unbelievable. So maybe that's the way to go.
Is you know that area very well. What's is there space around there that they could build? Like I mean, a lot of stuff here in the United States when you're building a stadium is nowadays anyway is built into what in essence is a retail and residential complex where you've got all kinds of things that you can do.
They'd have to just, I mean, what they'd have to do, and I'm not sure it could be done. I mean, if like where the link is when they have all the it's not the same kind of how there's parking lots all around it. It's not the same. There's not as much land available, right. But there is a big there's a big lot there, and there's some space, and there's some warehouses. So like you could do it. You could build it. In that spot there, next to Old Trafford, kind of like who did that? Maybe Tottenham did that, and then tear down Old Trafford and make that a park. Where you park, or really, to be honest, I mean they should improve the services to it. The rail, the problem is there because they get the rail up against it and they always complain. So it's just limited. You can't really do much more where they're at. So, with it. So, yeah, I mean, it could be done. I mean, it would be, I don't know, maybe they have to move it a little bit further, or maybe they have to move it down the road a little bit. So there is some, there's some stuff. I mean, obviously if you get somebody that comes in that's worth, infinite amount of money, and then just can pull the amount of money it's going to take out of the ground tomorrow, just turn the pumps and the natural gas on a little bit more and pay for the stadium. There's certain things you could probably do. You could probably make it float on the Keys if you wanted to at that point. So yeah, I mean, I think there's some stuff that, there's some innovative stuff. The area is really cool. I mean, right across the bridge, right across the Keys there, I mean, there's all the hotels and like all the Media City is right there. So all the, the BBC and everything that moved up from London is right across the way. Mm-hmm. So there is some stuff like it could be really cool. Like at night when you're walking down there, all the lights, all the buildings are like, some are green and some are red and some are blue. It's really picturesque. So I think there's some places they could do it, but I think they're also limited as well.
We've seen here in the States where, that's been a trend because it's good to have it's good to have an opportunity for things to do when you get to the stadium or on your way to the stadium or after you finish the game at the stadium. So that's kind of something that we've got over here. So there's that going at this point in time. So anyway, let's talk for a second about your Philadelphia 76ers. It's there's some good basketball being played here in the postseason.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that this is going to be, big game. I mean, they got blown out. If you had the Celtics minus 30, you were in shape. I think tonight is a huge game. LA Golden State.
Yep.
Golden State really needs to win the game. I mean, there's no if Golden State goes down 2-0 at home, the series is over. They're not coming back from that. Friday it's two huge games. Philly at Boston. They got the home court, so they got to take advantage of it. They didn't look great the other day, and that was with Brown benched for Boston, and then Denver at Phoenix. Like Phoenix has been terrible, so Phoenix and Chris Paul might not play. So
right.
If Chris Paul doesn't play, they're not winning the series anyway. So like they'll make that excuse. But maybe I don't know. Maybe Denver is the best team and left. I mean, to be honest, I mean you watch all these teams play, and the only one right now that you could say, wow, Denver maybe, and they were the best team in the East or the West all year, but you just have the feeling like at some point, they're going to Arsenal it like Crunky's other team.
Let's choke it up.
Yeah, you always have that in the back of your mind, and until they do it, look, if Denver goes and wins the title this year, you could say, Jokic is, probably, up in the pantheons there because really, I know they gave the MVP to Embiid, but really, Jokic could have won 3 in a row. So it's interesting. I think the Sixers. I'm not sure how healthy Embiid is. I think the Celtics, aren't going to play as badly. They won by 35. So,
right. Did you remember Warner Wolf when Warner was on in New York? And there was Warner used to have one of my favorite bits that Warner used to do was on Saturday. He would go and he'd pick some obscure college game and he'd say like, if you had Slippery Rock at 60 points, you still lost. It'd be like whatever the game was. So it was funny because you reminded me a couple of minutes ago when you said, well, if you had 30 points, you still lost. I'm thinking, an homage to Warner, because Warner used to do that all the time. He would pick some ridiculously large amount of points, and the team would lose by it, but he would always go from that standpoint. It was always entertaining, Mr. Wolf. But it's been wild, and you want to, it's hard for me to root for the Lakers. I'm not a LeBron guy. I appreciate his ability, but he's been on so many teams in so many different situations by his own choosing. I don't know. It's hard for me to rally behind the Lakers.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Lakers fan to begin with. I liked watching them when Kobe and Shaq was there, and whatever. They were playing the Sixers and the Nets back to back. But I'm not like
in the tank for them.
Yeah, nah. I'd rather at this point now. I'd rather see Denver come out of the West, and I'd rather see some new blood. At this point, I think that would be more interesting, to be honest.
I think more people would enjoy it. Yeah. Let's talk for a quick second about the Kentucky Derby is a race into itself. It might be the only race that casual fans watch an entire year. The rest of the time, you can't drag them to watching horse racing. I know you and Josie have talked about this many times. What's the situation with, in your opinion, with horse racing now? Is it still there? Is it still something people are excited about, or is it something that just hardcore gamblers are involved in?
I think, the TVG has brought it back a little bit. You see that the TVG and TVG2 channels, you can really just sit in your house and legalize gambling in a lot of these places has helped. You can sit in your house and watch, race after race after race. But, at the same time, it's also dangerous because there's race after race after race. But, we used to go to the track. I've been to Saratoga. I've been to the Preakness. I've been to all these races. The Florida Derby, I saw Holy Bull. So, I think it's it's in a weird spot. I mean, because really the Breeders' Cup is
Well, yeah, that's the holy grail. Yeah.
much bigger race, to be honest. I mean, and it's all time horses
I was-
racing.
yeah, well, it's all day. I mean,
Yeah, the fight, usually the 5th and the 6th around then in November, and in Santa Anita or Del Mar in the warm weather.
Mhm.
But I think, I mean, it's in pockets, but it's just it's like bowling. Like, bowling used to be massive in the bowling and horse racing. To me, you see like the decline at the same time. I used to work at bowling alleys, so bowling used to be just massive in the 50s and the 60s, and horse racing was sport of kings. And
Well,
it's just you don't bowling's just there's no the leagues are dying, and
to your point, all the way up into 1977, 78, maybe pushing it even into the early 80s. The top weekly show on the top weekly sports program watched on television was the Pro Bowlers Tour. It was on Saturday. It was on at 2 o'clock, and it was the lead in to college football, which would come on at 3 o'clock. And you would get that, every week that, people sat there and they knew 5 or 6 of the top bowlers at that time. And it just, it was there. It was, and to your point, it was basically baseball, horse racing, and bowling and
That's
boxing.
huge. And then
Those were the 4 sports.
and
Yeah.
what are, and you could argue right now the 4 sports that are like dying the quickest right now, and until baseball maybe made some changes, are baseball,
Yeah.
bowling, horse racing, and boxing.
Right.
Boxing has suffered because of UFC, but also just because of how poorly it's been run, and just it's just not managed the same. I mean, I forget what it was. Oh, the boxing match it was like last week or the week before.
Right.
I forget who was fighting, but it was like $90 for the pay-per-view. I'm not paying $90. Like, I have IPTV, but like I can't be bothered. Like, imagine charging somebody $90 to watch some boxing match. Like, I could go. Like, I know everything's expensive now, but like, I mean, you could legitimately go out for like a decent dinner for 2 and a movie, and hang out afterwards and get some drinks, like, and spend the same amount of money,
Right. Or less.
Yeah, it's.
And you also don't know, because I used to do fights. Okay, you get to the main event, and a minute and 45 seconds in, boom, the guy's hitting the canvas, and you're going, oh man, we got to fill 2 hours.
That's the other problem. I mean, and then the main thing now is the heavyweight division sucks. And these guys, like, they're always dodging each other. Like, look, man, just fight. Like that those Klitschko's for a while were good because they didn't care. They fought everybody and they were very good. But like, these guys are like, I see, a lot of the people I follow on Twitter are also boxing fans. In England, it's still pretty big. Horse racing. Oh, excuse me. With those the grass and jumping, the weird. I don't even understand that. But they still kind of watch it, and it's Saturday nights and stuff. But I just, there's 100 other things on now. I tried to tell these people back on NJ.com 10 years ago that soccer was the future, and they were like, maybe. And then they finally let me do it, and like, clear that soccer, is clearly the future here. Soccer, and they're trying to make lacrosse big. I know there's that league, but it still hasn't really caught on and stuff. But I know it's growing with the kids. But NFL and soccer's clearly coming up. I think basketball is in a transition period. College now at this point, college basketball and college football at this point. I mean, they just let anybody go anywhere. So college football is still pretty big, but I think college basketball has been hurt by this transfer stuff because I just don't see the level of. I know I don't care. I don't know. It used to be the biggest thing, and I know March Madness was. I just didn't think March Madness was as big this year. So I know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's just me or
Well, I mean, there was, I think there's such parity, and to your point about, the transfer portal, right? San Diego State got to the transfer portal, and well, used the transfer portal to get to the Final Four. Now you can't be upset with them doing what is legally their ability to do it. But three of their starters started on other teams last year.
yeah.
So basically, it's almost like college has become free agents, after one season.
And now the high schools are doing it here in New Jersey. I mean, they're changing the rule. Now you can transfer freely one time. I just the whole sports is like there's a lot of people disillusioned with it because I mean you can just kind of just college you just I don't I'm just gonna leave, and then all of a sudden like it's just these like super teams, and that's not really what college is supposed to be. I mean it's I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of these kids. You hear these great stories. He has panel during the draft. Hey, this kid, got his master's in 4 years and is a nuclear physicist and all this stuff. But like,
Mhm.
that's like one out of what. Hey, a lot of these guys take. Some of them don't graduate. Some of them come back and graduate. After they get their after they're in the pros for a while. I mean, it's a lot of them aren't there to do stuff. So I don't know. I mean, basketball. I mean, with this, with the you can leave after a year. It's just kind of been. I just don't follow it as much.
Well, I mean, one of the things that we see often in college football, right, is you'll see the spring game, right? And after the spring game, there'll be like 8 or 9 players on the team go, into the transfer portal, and you're going, what's going on here? I mean, you have a bad game, or you think that the coach doesn't love you anymore, so you're on your way out. I mean,
One of them, one of the Texas schools, I forget. I don't know if the running back had like 180 yards and 3 touchdowns, and then like the next day is like I'm bouncing. So, so he had a good game, and
right.
someone was like, "Listen, we want you, and we'll give you this amount of money." And he was like, "Okay." I mean, it's crazy. There you
It's,
go.
yeah, there's oh god, what's it? Stovis, the kid from he started at USC, okay? Then that didn't work. And then he went to um Yanked, you know, I'm not quite sure what Ethan means. Ethan, excuse me if I'm
Ethan, yeah, that's just that's the cheer. We're playing it. Manchester United is playing in 20 minutes. So
oh okay. That's what it is. Okay.
yeah.
So anyway, then he transferred to Pitt because Caleb Williams was going to SC.
Mm-hmm.
He played decently at Pitt, but now he's back in the portal and he's going somewhere else. That's
Yeah, it's just I can't be.
for years.
Yeah. Nah, it's to be honest, it's like too much. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just not the way it's supposed to be. I mean, I know that things change, but I mean, some sports have done. That's why I do say like baseball. I applaud what they're doing. Like some of the people, some of the old school people are like, you're messing with the game. You have to. You can't have 4-hour games. Like the people, the correlation, and I think you'll probably understand this. I don't know if other people will, but like when I'm out, and people are like, man, I used to love reading your stuff in the Trenton Times every morning with my coffee and stuff. And, now it's all online. I'm like, yeah, I know, but like, there's like a million more stories online.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like, I don't have my paper. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but like, and they're like, yeah, and it costs like, $100 a year. And I'm
Mhm.
like, that's like and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, it's like $12 a month. I'm like, what did you pay for the newspaper? And they're like, I don't know, 20. And I'm like, so you're paying less and you're getting
More.
times more stories. But like they're like, it's my thing. I'm like,
Look, I understand what you're saying because there's a tactileness. You like to hold something.
yeah. But like you gotta change with the times. And like baseball is starting to like after so long resisting it because of the purists and all this stuff, they're starting to change. And like there's gonna be radical changes, I think, in the next 5 years. But like you can't, like the world is too, you can't, no one is going to sit at a baseball game for 4 hours and watch. No one's going to watch on TV. No one is going to stream something for 4 hours. I get bored every commercial break. I mean, the reason I like football, soccer so much is because there's no breaks. Like you're sitting there, you're watching the game, it's commercial for 15 minutes, it's back on, and then it's over.
Right.
There's no breaks. You watch the game, there's constant action. Stuff like that. So
well, you and I grew up in a time when newspapers were, just a part of life. I mean, you picked up the newspaper on your front lawn or wherever, and you read it. I mean, when I grew up in Florida in the Tampa Bay area, there were 5 newspapers. There is an 8th newspaper today. They print what used to be the St. Pete Times is now called the Tampa Bay Times. They used to, they print that now just twice a week on a Wednesday and a Sunday. Everything else is online. You cannot get a newspaper in the 9th largest market in the country. It doesn't exist anymore. And the other thing that, you try to explain, and I get a newspaper every morning, and, it's the Baltimore Sun. And we do that because we want to support, local journalism. I have not touched the newspaper, in God knows how many years, but it's just, I read everything else online because, and you know this from what you do, right? I know that people like long form journalism, okay, which is good. I mean, that's why The Athletic is successful. But you can do that online. You can still do it. But the thing that you get online is it's up to date. If I pick up the newspaper, it may not have a score from the West Coast. Okay.
It's also, everything is old.
Who won? Right. And you're recycling things that you know. So.
100%. No, I know. And even, even like, some people have a problem with, some people like that, the athletic stuff. And now you see the Athletic is switching a little bit towards some of the shorter stuff.
Sure.
I mean, here's a perfect example. Cricket. The test matches used to last for 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
Matches and stuff. And you see, and then they have the 1-day international. What's the one that's the most prevalent now that people are kind of watching? The T20s, because why? It's over in under 3 hours.
Right.
20 overs. It's more like a baseball game, which some people don't like because you're messing with the fabric. But once again, like nobody has time to sit there for 3 hours at this point. Everybody's working 2 jobs and blah, blah, blah. And,
well, even from a standpoint of covering it, it's a pain in the neck.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I go to these, you cover these high school games and, I don't have 3 hours to go sit at a baseball game right now. I try to tell. The other day I showed up in the 7th inning, got the game-winning hit on video, and looked like I was there the whole game, and wrote a great story about it. And everyone was like, "Man, what a great game! What a great story!" I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's a great game. I saw the game-winning hit. That's basically what I saw. I was watching it because it was on TV, but like, I just, it is what it is.
Right. Let me run over the scoreboard real quick, and then we'll get out of here, so you can have some time to get ready for the Manchester United game. Top of the 8th inning, Nationals are beating the Cubbies 3-2. The Mets are losing to the Tigers 2-0. The Rays are looking to sweep the Buccos 2-0, and that game is in the bottom of the 6th. In the bottom of the fourth, the Angels, who couldn't score much at all against the Cardinals yesterday, seems to have it all going today. In the bottom of the fourth, it's the Angels 11, the Cardinals 2. Orioles 5. Surprise, big surprise. In the bottom of the second, Orioles 5 and the Royals 2. The Twins and the White Sox are scoreless at the bottom of the second inning, and 3:10 start for the Brewers. Rockies 3:57. Mariners in Oakland for the Athletics, and the Braves and the Marlins tonight. Well, I'm sorry, 4:10, and at 6:10 it's the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. So there's your scoreboard if you want to know what's going on in baseball today, up to date. And we know because we just said it, Sean just said it at the top of the hour, which is about a little over 15 minutes away. It's going to be Manchester United playing. So,
yeah, big game. Big game. It's actually a bonus game for us. I don't think anybody in the world expects us to beat Brighton at Brighton. But if they actually do get a point or get 3 points out of it, they're at that point they're basically 2 wins away from staying, finishing top 4, and that would be massive. So it's a huge game, but I just compete. If they get a point, get something from the match. You get anything, yeah, I'll be thrilled. If they get 3 points, they'll jump back ahead of Newcastle. So, but the year is just finishing ahead of Liverpool. So that's the only thing that matters.
Goal. All right, bud. We will see you tomorrow. Everybody else, see you tomorrow. Have a nice day. And for Sean, I'm Jim. Take care.